I am excited about today's topic. I'm excited about getting into the coaching corner for today. And I want to touch on a topic, a term that is part and parcel with life. And I want you to hear what I'm saying here. It is part of the ebb and flow of life. And that term is regret. Regret. The term is regret. How do you define regret? Regret, in terms of Webster's dictionary, is defined as feeling sad, repentant, or disappointed over something that has either happened or been done, especially a loss or missed opportunity. Feeling sad or repentant. So regret is a combination. Sad, repentant, disappointed over something that has been done, especially if there's a loss or a missed opportunity. Sadness, repentance, disappointment. It's a mixture. And in the content creator world, especially in the entrepreneur world, but specifically for those who haven't necessarily launched out and done a thing, maybe you had an idea and then you saw it taken or somebody else capitalized on it, and you had that idea first. It's something that just kind of occurred to you. There is a thing that sets in, and it is that combination of, disappointment, right? Man, I should have done that. That's that repentant, like, man. And then there's a sadness, like, missed opportunity. Will I ever get that back? Will I ever be able to have that space again? And that is the general definition of regret. But here's the piece that I found interesting as I was doing some prep work for today's presentation, and as we get into the coaching corner, it is that regret is hard to avoid. It's actually difficult to navigate around. People will get this. People will try to fail safe their choices. Anybody guilty of that out there? I'm putting both hands up. People will try to fail safe their choices by thoroughly considering all the alternatives, every avenue and option available to them that they know about, right? Before making a decision. And unfortunately, paradoxically, you can potentially experience more regret after trying to fail safe your choices, because regret is hard to avoid. I was like, man, regret is hard to avoid. Regret is hard to avoid. Regret is this mixture of feelings, and it is hard to avoid mainly because even if we try to fail safe our decisions, our choices, we simply don't know enough to fail safe it permanently. It's very difficult to avoid regret because regret is a part of life. Unfortunately, I'm here to share with you, regret is, listen, it's possible to regret something at first, right? You could have all the feelings and the initial reactions of regret of a thing, and then later on say, I'm actually glad I didn't get that. I'm actually glad I didn't do that. I'm actually glad that didn't happen for me. I'm actually glad, like, I was regretting that thing, but now I'm in a space where I don't. And it comes from being a person who practices deep reflection, who connects the dots in their lives to recognize what is motivating me here to do this over here. What mindset am I applying that is giving me the results that I'm currently experiencing? Regret is one of those things that can sink you lower. And for many, that's the initial reaction, but it's the decision of the person who is experiencing regret, whether or not they stay there. Okay, so you tried and you failed. Man, some might say, I should never have tried in the first place. In my opinion, that's the incorrect reaction. Man, I should have left it alone. I was doing well. Should never have done that. Well, if you never get outside of your comfort zone, if you never fail at something, if you never get back to being a beginner, you have no opportunities to learn. You have no opportunities to innovate. You have no opportunities to take anything to the next level because you are simply going to cut yourself off from anything new. And I would even add anything outside of what you're comfortable with. I would definitely add that response is incorrect. But here's the flip. You can have an experience, you can do something and it not necessarily go the way that you wanted it to go, and keep an open mind and an open attitude towards what could possibly happen now. What could possibly be a fringe benefit or an unintended opportunity that comes because I did this thing and it didn't go well. But now that I know that, who can I train? Oh, you see what I've done? Understanding these inflection points, understanding these punctuations, these experiences in our lives that have deep and lasting impact on who we are and how we show up, sometimes starts with regret. It can sometimes start with regret. It can start with regretting. I should have started my channel. I say this. We had this conversation this weekend. My wife and I. We should have started a travel channel when we were leaving the States to go and be missionaries in South Africa. We traveled the entire southern part of that continent, and myself, having worked for the NGO there, I went to several parts of West Africa and East Africa as well. If we had started a travel channel, man, it could have been awesome. And there's a tangible sense of regret that wells up within because you would have had these opportunities to showcase these things. That channel could have been at over hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Travel channels are doing extremely well. I follow so many of them because that's something that we're interested in. But that regret, if I leave it right where that is, that becomes an albatross. It becomes a memorial. It becomes almost a trophy of what I did not do. What we have decided to do is to launch another channel. And it's called Nugent News. And it's going to chronicle some of our travels from now going forward. We still love to travel. We still have opportunities to travel. Wish we could have showcased some of the places and spaces that we went to when we lived abroad. But why not start now? Why not start today? What's to stop us? What's to stop you? What's to stop that momentum, that feeling from being a motivator to do something more, to do something new, to get out of your comfort zone, to reframe the narrative around that thing that you regret to where you are now using it as fuel in your engine of change, in your engine to train others, in your engine to do the thing you feel called to do. Regret doesn't have to be a terminal diagnosis. Regret can be a learning point. It could be a difference maker. Like, man, I really wish I had done that then, but since I didn't do it then, I'm going to do it now. And in this version of myself, I've got more experiences. This version of myself, I've got all the, literally, I coach people on how to create content. With this version of myself, I've got a successful YouTube channel. So launching that travel channel now will be that much quicker. But you've got to reframe your mental perspective and outlook on what you're regretting. And so there it is. That's the question for today as we dive in 10 minutes into our coaching corner for today, May 7th, 2025. What do you regret? Go ahead and put it in the chat if you're brave enough, or just put in the chat unspoken if you're not brave. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can keep it to yourself. Maybe it's too long to explain, but what do you regret? And what has that regret motivated you to do? What do you regret, and what has that regret motivated you to do? I want to dive into a couple other things where regret is concerned in our coaching corner today. We're going to talk about why regret is so painful and different other aspects of regret, detailed breakdown of the different types of regret. But I want you to share, what are you regretting? And what has that regret motivated you to do? Let's dive into our coaching corner for today. And of course, as usual, we want to start it off with a word of prayer. God, thank you so much for those that are chilling with us live today. Thank you for the opportunity to share and for the technology and everything to work together for us to be able to have this moment. Pray that you bless every person that's watching, that you be with those who are going to watch on replay, and that you help us with some questions and some answers today, God. We pray in your precious name. Amen. Well. Super excited for another coaching corner. This is the middle of the middle. It's the middle day of the week. That's Wednesday. In the middle of that day, it is noon here in the Central Time Zone, which is the Lord's time zone. And we're excited that you're with us today. Several of you are hanging out with us. But please chime in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Also, see if you can answer some of those questions that we shared in the lead-in. The coaching corner, if you're new here, is a space where we pull aside for a little while to just get ourselves together, to gain insight and perspective on the things that we've been working on, to stop and press pause on the hustle and the grind for just an hour and really sit and consider all that we have experienced, all that we are doing. Where are we? And one of the reflection questions that we're sharing today is on regret. Now, I want to say this. If you're here because you've watched some content on StreamYard, Ecamm, EVMux, Canva, live streaming tips, tricks, best practices, definitely you're in the right place, and regret plays a role in that space as well. And we want to have your questions. So put a Q and a colon in front of your question, and we'll be able to answer those for you. We're going to dive into all of those things in just a minute. But before we do that, I definitely want to take some time to greet some of our participants, some of the people who are here with us live today. Oh, you see what happens? I have my mic, but I don't have my camera. There we go. Camera's back. All right. So let's get a couple of these comments in here. I see several of you have chimed in today. Good afternoon to you, Darius O'Kane. Thank you so much for being with us. Tracy is here. Love to see when the mod squad is here. Darren is here as well. Says hello. Jim Lawyer is here. Excited to have you. Thank you for being here with us today. Good afternoon to you as well, Ibrahim. We always love when you're here with us. Dr. Otang says, hey fam, beautiful day out here in Connecticut. It's actually a gorgeous day down here in Huntsville as well. A couple of clouds started rolling in right as I was going live, but it was beautiful earlier. Howdy to you as well, PTS, Pigtown Sports. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. I see Darren's got a comment here. It says travel channels can become a problem down the road when you create content about a region where you live, get followers, but then move. Yeah, well, see, that's a really good point. We are going to be doing a travel channel that is based on our travels. Last year alone, we went to Brazil, we went to New Zealand, we went on a cruise, the Mediterranean cruise, which allowed us to hit Rome and Greece and several other places I'm forgetting the names of. So we're definitely going to have plenty of content for us to be able to sink our teeth into. I regretted, come on, Pigtown Sports is responding. I regretted not moving to Mac faster, LOL. It's been so much fun creating content with Ecamm and Final Cut. Let's go. You know, so the regret part is what you feel could have been this missed opportunity of not having been on Mac sooner. But I believe everything happens in its own time, in its own pace, in its own space, right? So I think that this is such a great outlook and perspective to have, Pigtown Sports. Drop your name as well. I want to be able to, call you by your name. I think that's just something that we like to do here. Even though we have our names for our channels, of course we have our given names. So I would love to be able to call you by your given name. You've probably shared it before, and I apologize, I don't remember, but I will try to remember if you share it with me one more time. Darren says, I regret my career path after college. I mean, I'm okay now, but yeah, hey, listen, I will tell you, my last job that I had before moving into content creation. Everything worked out, but I really do believe that was a job that I probably should not have taken. I probably should have left the institution I was with and allowed that to be my last place where I did IT and transition into this new industry. I really do regret not doing that, but I cannot complain in terms of how things have worked out for me. So it's one of those things where it's like, that's the tagline for the channel, how it all works. Things just, it has a way of working out. And I thank you so much for sharing. All right, Darius O'Kane says, I regret not trusting my experiences and starting to create content sooner, getting out of my way and creating content now. Let's go. I think some of you may have had some challenges with like, what in the world is this guy? How are we talking about regret? And this is a channel that's about content creation and leveraging video naturally and all of the things. One of the critical components of leveraging video naturally. Let me come back to my main screen for this. One of the critical components of leveraging video naturally is being able to utilize your experiences and recognizing that there are things that you regret. One of the motivators of regret is to ensure that no one else faces that thing again. And this is one of the greatest uses of content, sharing with others your experience so that they don't have to have the same regret. Make sense? So I love this. What Darius O'Kane has shared. It is great to see, and I'm cheering you on as well as you continue to create content. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal. Getting out of my own way and creating content now. Let's go. And this is why I love the theme and the tenure and the tone of this channel, because I'm just trying to help people recognize it isn't as hard as you think it is. You can create content too. You're already a creator. That part is unequivocal. It's there in the beginning of the word. We were created in the image of the first content creator. So we have it in us innately, in our DNA, in our design. We are creators. So let me help you leverage content naturally. Let me help you to put content out there in a way that feels, like it's part of your mother tongue, as they say in the motherland. But I'm so excited for you, Darius O'Kane. Doc Bashar says peace. All right, we do have one question here from Pigtown Sports. I'm going to come back to it. I just want to do a couple of different little greetings from a couple of places. Zach. Zach is your name, and I am excited to know your name, Zach. So I'm just going to Pigtown Sports Zach, Pigtown Sports Zach, Pigtown Sports Zach. I'm just going to try and make that connection, that mental connection for myself, so that we can ensure we're able to answer or greet you properly. This is a family environment here. You've been here a couple of weeks now, and I'm excited that you're back with us. All right, so Zach has the only question that's in the chat right now. The only question that's in the chat. And you know why I know it's a question? Because he's got a Q colon in front of it. So Zach says, do you think less is more sometimes with editing or recording? Oh, Zach, this is so good. Thank you. Meaning like less graphics, less eye-popping text and colors, and keep the focus on yourself. Absolutely. I absolutely believe that if you can record it right on camera, meaning that it's clear, right? Let me go back to main. Meaning it's clear, right? The camera is, you can be seen, you're in focus, right? I'm in a room. This is not a green screen. This is my room. This is what it looks like here. So that's not really editing. I do have the coaching corner because I want to identify with people. I want people to be able to identify with what they're seeing. But that coaching corner overlay can go away just like that. It can go away just like that. I do believe that there are types of content where you need to introduce pattern interrupts, and sometimes pattern interrupts is B-roll. Sometimes pattern interrupts is text. But if depending on the content that you're sharing and its importance and its impact, I think that actually right now there is a huge trend, Zach. There is a massive trend right now for low edit, right? Very low edits, meaning no, like people aren't even doing the pull-ins and the pull-outs anymore. They're not doing all the razzle dazzle with the logo pumping up on a screen and turning around and fading into nothing. So a lot of people are not even doing that anymore. Personally, I just do it because it gives me a little bit of a break, especially for my live shows, but it also kind of helps people to recognize like, yo, this is legit. This is a real thing. I have a little logo that plays at the beginning of the podcast I have with my wife. It's called Incubator's Couch. The little 7-second thing where it comes up on screen and it goes back away, and then we get right into the show. The only other pattern interrupt that we do is cutting from camera to camera to camera. This is what I like to call the low edit, right? It's really, really basic. We're not doing any dynamics, not doing push-ins, pull-outs, zooms. We're not doing any of that stuff. We're not doing panning across. The only information that we added to that podcast is the guest's information. We put it up on screen for a little bit right at the beginning and right at the end. That's it. Other than switching camera from camera to camera to the speakers who are talking, to myself, my wife, and the guest, we cut the cut. But other than that, it's really, as you said, less, eye-popping text with colors and graphics that are jumping on screen. And what that does, what this current moment has signaled and has ushered in is the ability for us to even further get content out there. If it's clean, if the audio is good, if the camera is in focus, if the set is appealing, we're not talking about anything that has to do with editing yet. We're only talking about how you captured it. I think the main thing in what you're saying, so that the answer to your question is, do you think less is more? Absolutely. And we're in a era right now in content creation where less is absolutely more. People are not looking for the razzle dazzle. They just want something that's going to hold their attention. And that is mainly your content, not necessarily what you even look like. I mean, because you said, where the focus is on yourself. The focus is on you, yes, but the focus is more so on what you're saying, the value that you're providing, the question that you're answering. That's the reason why the viewer has come to your content and they want to hear you. Now, it says Pigtown Sports. I am assuming that you cover sports. Sports is a very specific arena where there is, there's a normative behavior. ESPN and Fox Sports and all these other platforms have kind of spoiled, people who watch sports commentary. It's spoiled us in terms of, we can see the stats on the screen. We can see, a ticker running on the bottom. There's like a visual feast going on. So you may want to find a happy medium between the two, because in your particular arena, there still is an expectation that information will be made available. Maybe you don't have that on at all times, but maybe you have some scenes where you have some stuff on there that allows for people's attention to be drawn in, and it kind of looks like what they're used to seeing. Thank you so much for that question, Zach. I got to keep on saying it. I was about to say Pigtown Sports. Thank you so much for that question, Zach. I truly appreciate it. Truly appreciate it. Okay, so Zach's following it up. He says, sometimes I find myself getting caught up trying to overdo my scenes and overlays with my interviews on Ecamm, where I get frustrated. I want to keep it simple, but I try to be different too. Listen, I covered the Baltimore Orioles primarily. Dope. I used to live in Randallstown. Used to work downtown. Used to take the train from Owings Mills down to Pratt Street. Well, Charles Center is really where I would get off at, and I'd walk over to Pratt Street. I worked at T. Rowe Price right there on 100 East Pratt Street, overlooking the Inner Harbor. Right there from that building. They had all the floors. I mean, pretty much majority of the floors in that building. And so when you talk about the O's, T. Rowe Price has a box at the O's stadium, and we would use that box every now and again. It was always, I'm smiling because the memories are just so good. So excited to hear that that's who you're covering. That's pretty dope. Yeah. That's awesome. I think there is a way to find a balance between the two. There's a way, definitely small world. There's a way to find the balance between the two, but there's also a way to have those scenes defined so you can go to them if you need them, right? Not necessarily, maybe necessarily as part of the plan, but it's like, oh, let me show a couple of stats on what's happening with the O's this week. Every time I say the O's, I have to laugh and smile because there's all kinds of stuff, memories that are coming back to mind as I'm thinking about this. Got something tickling my throat there, but yeah. I'm excited to engage further and hear more about your platform. Definitely gonna go ahead and check out your show. That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Okay. Let me go back to comments here. I see Darren has a comment here. Slow start for the O's. Rooting for them, though. I love that. T. Rowe Price actually owns the sponsor rights now, has a patch on the O's jerseys, and a few things around the stadium. That's crazy. I haven't lived in Baltimore since 2011, so it's been a long time. So that's awesome to hear. I've still got a lot of friends in the area. My sister still lives in the area, so we come up to Baltimore regularly. That's awesome. Definitely small world. Definitely small world. You guys keep on putting those things in there. Missed comment. Which comment did I miss? Let's see here. I see your other comment here. My bad. Let's get that one up on the screen as well. Thank you so much, Darren. When I start my live, my demographic will be younger than me, 25 to 35. I'm pushing 60, but I'll need a little more flash rather than being more static. I don't know that. I don't know that I agree. 25 to 35 is so you're saying that particular age group is looking for a little more razzle dazzle. Is that what you're saying? I would actually disagree. I don't think so. What kind of content will you be putting out? I know you shared this in the past, Darren, but just for clarification, I know because it doesn't sound like you're going to be doing travel content as much, covering some of the things that you talked about before, but I would be interested to hear what exactly you will be covering, because once I know that's going to give me a little bit better idea of what the normative behaviors are and what the expectations will be from, that particular niche or that people group. Because I don't know. I'm going to be honest, man. I have heard these comments from literally across the board. People from varying different age groups. Oh man, just get to it, right? Just give me the content. I just get to it. I don't need the flashes, and just give it to me. Now, if you're saying that the flashing stuff is stuff like this, where the camera is clear and, you know, the audio is good. If that's what you call flashy, I always have to, you know, kind of temper that. Like if just this alone is what you call flashy, then by all means be flashy. But I wouldn't necessarily consider this to be flashy. I feel like this is just capturing the content clean and then adding some informational items that just allows people to know where we are, station identification, if you will. And you can do that in the content, or you can do that with your graphics or with your design or with your edit. There's a number of ways for you to be able to do some of those things. I think that everybody's gonna have to kind of find their happy medium, their balance. I started on YouTube when the edit process or the expectation from viewers was that this video is going to wow me, right? This video is going to, you know, it's gonna feel like a YouTube video. But we have kind of transitioned into a time frame now where people are watching long form, sometimes even more than short form, especially on YouTube. And then they are not expecting a whole lot. Like some of the podcasts I follow, hundreds of thousands of views per episode. They don't have anything more than what I just described in terms of, you got, like, they don't, like in the one podcast, he's got himself, co-host and a guest, and they don't have a wide shot that shows all three of them at all. They have three cameras on each of the individuals. Nice framing, tight framing, but that's it. They've got nothing else. And it's mind blowing to me because it's like, man, that is it's a low bar for entry. I mean, of course you have to have three cameras, which I know is still hard to do. For a lot of people, it's just easier to capture it put a wide lens on, capture all three, and then kind of cut, in post to zoom in here, zoom in there. And if you record in 4K, you can actually do that. I just find it to be a whole lot more work when you record, directly with three cameras. If you have a 3-person shoot, you have a 3-camera setup, you can record that, create it as a compound clip, and just cut between them. So all of those are options for you. And I would say that I would play with both forms. Play with both forms in terms of something that has the razzle dazzle, and then something that's a little more simple, a little more streamlined, and see what the effects are. I think after a while, people get used to who you are, and they are really more looking for you than they are anything that you ever put on screen. Darren says, that's fair. We can chat at our talk at 1:30. EDM music, correct? Not travel. EDM music. Yes, that's what you're going to be covering in your content. Okay, cool. Dope. All right, let me see what we got. Dr. Vibe Show is with us today. Excited to have you with us today, sir. Appreciate you for coming through. Always good to have you here with us. Let's see. 1:30. Okay. Cancel. Google is doing wildness. it just pops up. It's just popping up. I'm like, cancel. All right. Let me see what else we got here. Tora is with us today. Thank you, Tora, for being here. Hello to you as well. Always good to have you. I see Tracy is greeting some folks in the chat as well. Dr. Vibe Show is here. One of the things that we talked about in the beginning, of course, was, this concept of regret, and not just what do you regret, but what is regret? What does that regret, or has that regret motivated you to do? What has it motivated you to do? And I promised that I would share a little more. And because I don't see any questions or comments coming through, 15 of you guys are on the live right now. I love it. And I've got like 22 minutes left in the show. I wanted to share that regret. Some of the reasons why regret is so painful is because it involves a gap between what happened and what you wish could have been. Ooh, the space between what happened and what you wish could have been. That's this feeling of missed opportunity, or the what if scenario, can trigger negative emotions and self-blame. And that's what I was saying in the beginning, is like, you don't want to stay there. You want to use your quote unquote regret. This is what you wish could have been. What's the difference between the two? How do you get from one to the other? Are there other opportunities for you to be able to do that thing again, and for you to get closer to what you wish could have been? Like, it could be a motivator for you to actually go and do that thing better, stronger. Or you can get into this cycle of what if and negative emotions and self-blame. The pain of regret can also be, it can expand. It can be intensified by the feeling of, I don't have any control, right? The feelings of helplessness to change the past, and the potential for it to lead to negative self-talk. So I love to speak with, those from the elder generations. I love. It's an actual thing that I enjoy regularly, because they will just talk. They'll just share. They're not embarrassed anymore about what they've struggled with, or some of the things that they've come through, quote unquote taboo topics. They've lived, and they're ready to share. And I love talking with, these elder generations, because they share, as I mentioned, so openly and vulnerably. They're the ones, in my opinion, that would be, just stupidly successful at content, because they've figured out the cheat code. They're able to share authentically. They're able to share as not as one who's just this expert, but they've lived long enough, and they've seen enough, experienced enough to know that they don't know everything. And so they approach life differently. I love to chat with them. But one of the things that I've noticed whenever I get a chance to chat with these elder generations is that, especially for the things that they are helpless to change, that is a regret. That is a version of regret that they live with, and it has massive impact. If you have an idea, you have a design, you have a service, you have a product, you feel a call, you feel, certain that you're supposed to be speaking to a particular subject or audience, providing a service, helping people to understand something that you know intimately because of your lived experience. Don't sit on it. Don't wait for the situation to be right. Don't wait for the right pair of equipment, for the right camera and microphone. Don't wait. Don't sit on it. Do it. Put it out there. Why? Because that level of regret, there are levels. As they say, there are levels to this thing. But there is a regret that is like a base level. It's like, man, I wish I had another opportunity. Wish I could have done that better. Wish I had studied. Wish I had prepared. There's a lot of regret, and those are base level. We can do something about those. There are regrets that are bigger and they shape who we are. There are regrets that were regrets initially that we end up not regretting in the long run, because you love the way that things worked out. And if you had gotten the thing if it had gone the way you wanted it, things would not have happened the way that it did happen. So there is many different versions and levels of regret. But that regret that I hear from those elder generations, that regret that they are helpless to change simply because time has run out, that is a level of regret that I don't want any of us to experience. And I'll even go a step further to say that notion that you are helpless to make any change about what you regret is still, even at that point, a misnomer. It is a fallacy. You can always make a change. You can always shift. You can always decide to take that regret and use it as a fuel to drive you forward. Lost opportunities and what if scenarios, man, self-blame and guilt, hopelessness and powerlessness. Regret is an interesting scenario. And that's why I wanted to touch on it today. You always get a picture here in the coaching corner of what I have been talking with coaching clients about. You always get a picture here in the coaching corner with the topics that I touch on, that even from a content perspective, these are things that people are struggling with. Man, I had one client who just every single session, she would say something along the lines of, man, I wish I had started this earlier. Man, I wish I had booked you earlier. Man, I wish I had started this coaching. Oh man, can you imagine where I would be? And I would say to her, I'm like, I'm not opposed to this kind of, speech. I'm not opposed to this kind of talking, as long as it's fuel for you to continue forward on what you hope to achieve and what you hope to realize. But I am opposed to it if you're just gonna live there, if you're just gonna set up residence and allow your life to devolve into a space where you're always thinking, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Man, I wish I had done this. Man, I wish I had done that. That's not a space that I want any of us to exist in. All right, 13 of you guys on the live. What are your questions for today? We got 15 minutes and I got to roll. 15 minutes. I've got a serious afternoon lined up for myself, and I cannot be late. So 15 minutes and then we got to move. So what other questions do you have for me today? We've touched on regret. We've really laid it out in terms of, what definition is, how it impacts us. Where are we at? 13 of you guys on the live today. At one point, we even had 22 on with us. Several other platforms chiming in. What are the things that you're working on that you feel stuck with? What are the things that you're working on that you would like to have some insight and perspective on? What are the things that you that are friction points in your process to create content? Maybe it's not even creating content. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. The door is wide open, and I'm welcoming you to be able to ask your questions. In fact, we have one coming in from Darren. Let's see what he's talking about here. Where would we be if we had started YouTube 20 years ago? So much content now, it gets compacted. And so, there's a adage that says, for those who are experiencing success, were either first or very good. They were either first or very good. Early adopters gain a level of notoriety and popularity around a particular thing just because they're early adopters. I'll give you an example. A group of us, not myself not excluded, I joined them, but there's a group of guys, a group of streamers, I should say, it includes females, who got onto the Amazon live stream thing really early, before it was even popular, before there was any information out there about it. And they experienced a level of success with that thing that I cannot even begin to describe. And so those are definitely, that's one side of the coin. They were both, in my opinion, both good, exceptionally good at what they did, and they were early adopters. They took their experiences from being high quality, high impact streamers on other platforms to Amazon, which is a brand new platform, and they skyrocketed. So when you have the combination of the two, it's really something special. If you can be an early adopter and you can be really good, it's something special. But since, as you mentioned, Darren, that ship has sailed, you can't be an early adopter where YouTube or content is concerned right now. So the only thing that's left for us to do is to be a student of the craft and to be very good at it. To be a student of the craft and to be very good at it. There are still YouTube channels that today, without having some kind of celebrity influence or whatever, are able to rapidly and exponentially grow such that they're hitting 100,000 in the first month in terms of subscribers. It's possible. I don't know that I would want that, but it is possible. And I think that we just kind of have to reframe what it is that we do. And especially as we consider that YouTube is a search engine, so is Instagram, so is Facebook, so is Twitter, so is TikTok. As we consider that these are search engines and the content that is served up is either through the algorithm that the user has input on, or because somebody has searched for something and that content is served up to them. So we keep those in mind. I think we can be in good shape. All right. We got 10 minutes. Let's see what we got here in terms of questions. 10 minutes, questions. Much thanks for last Friday's workshop. I have an understanding of scenes on EVMux now. I'm trying to understand StreamYard and scenes, but your workshop last Friday helped me a lot. I'm glad to hear that, Dr. Vibe. It's always good to get that feedback. Getting a lot of good and positive feedback from the Content Workflow Masterclass. In fact, I did want to share today that if you go to the Masterclass page on my website, you will still see that there is yet another Masterclass. Content Workflows Part 2 is available for those that are interested. And so we had a great time in Part 1, but Part 1 is not a requirement for those who are looking to be involved with Part 2. It's not a requirement. But what I can share with you is that if you purchase your access to the Masterclass here, we will make the Part 1 available to you for you to be able to see that and build on it. So $67 reserves your seat. We would love for you to be able to join us in Part 2 of the Content Workflows Masterclass. This time we're looking at Ecamm and integrating it with Zoom. So thank you for that comment, Dr. Vibe. I'm excited for what you're experiencing and how that Masterclass was able to get you across the line. All right, Dr. Oteng's got a question. Hey, Kirk, what do you think about fourth wall for Creator Shop versus Patreon or Shopify? I think Patreon, I just personally, my experience with Patreon was one where I just felt like it took way longer than it needed to for me to get my money. That was number one. And then for Shopify, the only issue I actually prefer Shopify, but I was looking at, so I had a merch servicer, if you will, throughout, from time I hit about 2,000 subscribers, I started to put merch on this platform, and it really worked well for me at the time. But I always knew that when I hit 10,000 subscribers, I would be looking to kind of revamp a little bit, because I wanted to be able to integrate my merch with my channel. And so if you look at my channel now, you'll see that you can buy merch right there on the channel. There are not a lot of platforms that integrate with YouTube for you to be able to sell directly underneath your video. And so that is something that I would highly recommend you think about if YouTube is your platform of choice where you're looking to grow, Dr. Oteng. I think, you want to look at platforms that do integrate. That's got to be top. I looked at many different ways to try and integrate Shopify with YouTube, and I was not finding great options there. Found a lot of roundabout stuff, but it always turned out to be something where your viewers would have to leave the platform to go and buy that merch. So I ended up going with Fourth Wall. So Fourth Wall is what my merch page is built off of. So if I go back to my screen here, you can see this is the same Masterclass screen. If you see where it says t-shirts right here, if you click that, this is a Fourth Wall website, and all of my stuff is here. Then of course, if you go to my YouTube page, you will see on the page, you have a store right there. It says store. When you click that, you have all these things integrated, and it's direct from Fourth Wall. It just, that is the reason why I ended up going with that platform. Look, I have this hat on right now. That's so dope. But that's one of the reasons why I went with Fourth Wall, is because they have very tight integration. Number one. Number two, they made it ridiculously easy to set up my page. I had this thing up and running in no time. It took me longer to get the designs for the shirts done than it did for me to actually get the website up and running. So thank you for the question. Hope that we were able to get you across the line. Darren has chimed in, says the fact that I have 1,500 subs does put me in the top 5% of creators. There is that. So many try and then stop. The consistency piece, Darren, is where it's at. And a lot of people are essentially not able to do that. I have seen channels blow up. I mean, right out of the gate, thousands of subscribers, then they just fizzle and die. It's like, yo, you had like 6,000, 7,000 subscribers. What happened? I just couldn't figure out a way to be consistent. And so it doesn't, you know, I see these flashes in the pan. They're nice, but if you can't maintain it, if you're experiencing that because you're doing things that you can't actually readily do on a regular basis, then it is actually wasteful. And I'm excited for what you're experiencing. That perspective that you just shared there, that's a winning perspective. You are in the top 5%, a top 5 or 8% of channels. And that is absolutely amazing. Search engine bingo. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. Yeah. Tracy, there's majority of YouTube channels never get past monetized. Majority. So even though it seems like it's a huge, saturated space, it really isn't. I use Shopify and it integrates okay. So I wasn't able to get Shopify to integrate with my channel, Tracy. So I actually, because my wife does web design, we're super familiar with Shopify, and so would definitely be interested. I'm looking at your channel now. I'm looking at your channel now, Tracy, to see so where would I go? First of all, let's congratulate you here. 20,000 subscribers. Let's go. But where would I go to find your shop? So that's what I mean. So like I was not able to, or maybe it's not on this channel. I have adverts below my videos. So, and I do get sales from it. It's fairly set up though. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I wanted the integration to be much more in your face. I do put them I do put them in the description of the video. Let me see. She said to just pick a video, so I've just clicked on a video right now. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I love your description as well. It's really good. So, but yes, I wanted mine to be a little more integrated. Jumping in on the lunch break. Thank you so much, David Hunt, for coming through here. But yeah, I wanted mine to be a little bit more integrated. So that's why I chose the way that I did it. So cool. Tora is saying the same here. Fourth Wall is great. I actually had a meeting with their VP of marketing. They don't mind jumping on with you to help however they can. They're very hands-on. I had to go back and forth with them on a couple of different products just to make sure we got it right. There's just a lot of different things that they do that I really appreciate. Fourth Wall is unapologetically geared for creators. So it's another reason. And of course, with their integration into YouTube, it just made sense to integration with YouTube and Instagram. Look, this is the latest from YouTube. You see it says latest from YouTube here. but also latest on Instagram. It's got all my Instagram posts. I did not have to do anything to do this. This is just, a check mark on fourth wall, and of course you have to go through the integration steps, but I don't have to go back here and update these. These are just here. So definitely want to do a plug for fourth wall if you are interested in that. That I think will help you to get across the line. All right, with that said, guess what? We are done for today, man. The Coaching Corner always goes too fast, but I'm so glad that we got several of your questions answered. You should see a products bar below. I did not, actually. I did not. I just saw your description, but I didn't see a product bar. So maybe let me go back and look at that a little bit further. Maybe I'm missing something, but I will say, and maybe we can chat a little bit more in the warehouse when we're looking at this, because I will say Shopify was actually my preferred platform, but I was not able to get it to integrate with YouTube, and that was a top priority for me. And so I wanted to make sure that, so I had to go with something that I knew was going to work. And fourth wall was the one. Micah Flemings is on the live. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. David says, no, listen, just as a recap, I will tell you that one of the things we talked about today was regret, David. We talked about regret from a general perspective, from a life perspective, but we also talked about regret from a content perspective. From a project perspective, regret that holds you still and arrests you and keeps you in a prison, or regret that we take and turn into fuel to drive us forward, to innovate and to get to the next level. And then we talked about regret in another season of life, which can be, debilitating because of this helplessness, because there's not enough time left to make any changes to that thing that we regret. All of these things are different levels and versions of regret, and we each live with them. We even talked about the concept that regret is hard to avoid. If you're like me and you're regret averse, you sometimes will stack your deck in terms of your decision matrix for being able to select an option that has the least amount of regret. But the truth of the matter is, it just depends on how you look at it. It depends on where your perspective is. As they say, today I could be on the wrong side of history, but history gets to determine whether or not that's true, right? When we have the opportunity and the advantage of perspective to look back with reflection on all that we have experienced, there are things that you may have regretted initially that you do not currently regret because of the way things worked out. And I am excited about that. I'm excited about all those pieces. And I am encouraging you to not only understand what you regret, what are they motivating? What does that regret motivate you to do? And then lastly, what are you going to go to the next level? What are you waiting to start that you should stop waiting to start? That's your boy, Kirk Nugent, the Geek Speaker Preacher. Excited for everything that you're going to do this week, and excited to see you all next week for another Coaching Corner. Let's bow our heads for a quick word of prayer. God, thank you for your love, your grace, your mercy, and for your presence, obvious presence in this space as we hung out today. Bless your people, guide them, and allow us to turn that regret into something that fuels us and motivates us to move forward. These things we ask in your precious name. Amen. Be blessed, family. And remember, going live changes lives, and the life that might change could be your own. Lastly, don't complicate content. Leverage video naturally. Later.